keeper up across the 15, cuts left at the 20, on Saru at the 30, headed to the near sideline, one man to beat, makes the move at midfield, coming to the near side at the 30, he's at the 20, he's at the 10, 5, touchdown, Kentucky!
And we are off and running another episode of Believe in Kentucky, live streaming on Facebook, Twitter. Aaron Gershon of the Cat's Paws coming to us live from Duval. The Cats get ready for Clemson in Jacksonville in the Gator Bowl, the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Former UK quarterback, courtesy of the highlight, said he wasn't even running fast when he made that play. Jalen Whitlow. My name is Vinny Hardy. Guys, how y'all doing this evening?
Good, man. Can't complain.
Can't complain either. You just got to Jacksonville about an hour and a half ago, so we'll hit the ground running tomorrow morning. But it should be a lot more fun of a bowl game than we had last year, so that's good.
Tennessee gets to deal with Iowa now, so they can go ahead.
I know the quarterback they're starting tomorrow, Nico, is a top prospect, 5-star guy, but kind of a similar situation where a guy's going to have to make his debut against that defense. So that's going to be interesting. At least they get to do that in sunny Florida, though. Like Nashville, nothing against the folks in Nashville, the Music City Bowl, but it was cold, it was cloudy, it was depressing, and then the game was depressing and boring and awful. So at least they'll do that thing in Orlando.
Your boy Gaston might get some run too, Jalen.
Yeah, I was just on the phone with him the other day for a while, man. He kind of broke the news to me before anybody knew about the Joe Milton thing. He was like, Joe Milton is at practice. He's dressed, but he's not doing any team. They wanted to wait to the last minute for game planning reasons to, kind of announce that Nico was going to be the starter. But yeah, he may get a shot, man. I hope he get a shot. Like you said, Nico going in his first game is against one of the best defenses in the country. That could get tough for a freshman sometimes, man. So, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, get a chance to play because I know, it's gonna help him out with just his overall development and moving forward.
But you're right, Aaron. Just a Destin Wade situation all over again. Throwing a green quarterback out to that nasty defense, boy.
Yeah, I mean, off the deal, they have a lot of great players. I think Cooper DeJean is he back from injury? I know he got hurt. I'm not sure if he's back for that game, but at least he doesn't have to deal with Jack Campbell. That dude was a certified baller, obviously first round pick this past draft. So but he's going to have his hands full. That Tennessee offense will have its hands full. But it's just such a weird matchup, man, with the Tennessee and that high flying offense and that pace against Iowa, who can't move the ball 5 yards. So we'll see what happens. But by the way, real quick, speaking of first time starting quarterback, whoever this quarterback for USC is just threw his fourth touchdown in the first half against Louisville. He is
Miller Mose.
The Carlos. Yeah, he just threw – that had to be a 45-yard bomb into the end zone for a score right here before halftime. So credit to them, and Louisville is who we thought they were.
Yeah. So what's the score as we speak?
It's going to be 28-14 heading into half.
Unbelievable. So, and congrats to Neil Brown for getting the Mayo dub. So,
you got that.
Jay, you've been around. How do you think he handled getting Mayo dumped on him?
I didn't see it. I didn't.
No, I'm saying just Neil Brown. How do you think he would have reacted to something like that? Because you were with him in 2013, right?
Yeah, in 2013. Shoot, man, I know. I mean, he was like as on the hot seat as you can be on the hot seat. I mean, you know, fire was creeping on him, and to go 9-4, man, you can, I'm sure he's happy to have some Mayo dumped on him. I mean, you go from, like you're probably gonna get fired if you go, 6-6 or whatever, or 5-7. You're probably gonna get fired. And he rattled off 9 wins. So
that's right.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll take all the Mayo he can get.
That's true. So you got Neil Brown doing his thing. John Summerall moves from Troy to Tulane, so the Stoops tree got some good stuff going on. So that's a little bit of some old news, but we didn't mention it on here with Summerall moving from Troy to down Nolan's way. But
another place where he's been an assistant. So both of his head coaching stops so far have been places he knows, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a certain school that's added to that list one day that we happen to talk about every Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be the first one in the Rolodex, if you will.
Yeah.
For sure. We're coming to y'all live on the Believe Network. We're live streaming on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Believe.com, BLEAV. Follow us there. Believe in Kentucky on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Like the Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter. All that good stuff. Appreciate everybody that's taking the time to check us out. We got merch as well. Get your stuff a Cat Daddy.
Go get that.
Got I'm holding it up a little bit sideways. Cat Daddy's. Got the blue, got the white, got the gray. Go to BLEAV.com, Believe.com, and get yourself a Cat Daddy t-shirt. Go with all the rest of your UK gear. Fit right up there in the closet with all your fits. And add yourself a Cat Daddy shirt to that as well. We had coordinators talking. We had Liam Cohen talking. We had Ripper talking. We had Eli Cox talking. Your thoughts on, the up, Aaron, you've covered these bowl games before. You've covered the lead up to the week and getting back into football and the training camp, summer camp 2.0, if you will, extended practices and all that. And, you get a little time off and then you get to, jump back into it. What's the vibe y'all been getting from what y'all heard and kind of feeling leading up to this game?
Yeah, I didn't get to catch anything today, but from what I listened to, from there on Tuesday, and then from when they were talking before back at home in Lexington, is they're pumped up for this one, man. I mean, a chance to play a name brand like Clemson has definitely added a lot of juice in that building, and they all kind of want to go prove themselves against that name brand. Sure, Clemson is 8-4 this year, but this is 8-4 is their worst record in 12 years, and that's still a pretty damn good record. They won their final 4 games down the stretch, so they're a hot team. I know they have quite a few guys out on defense, but offensively, outside of the wide receiver, Bo Collins, they're in really good shape. Their 2 running backs, who are both really good players, are healthy. Their offensive line, they might be without their starting, I think, left guard due to injury. But other than that, their offensive line that was really good this year is intact. So the defense has its hands full, and that's a big opportunity for everyone on this team to prove themselves. And I think that's why you see the opt-out numbers so low. Kenneth Horsey and Jeremy Flax are the only 2 starters who are not playing, and that's both, I think, definitely with Flax, I've heard, is due to injury, and then Horsey, 6-year guy, has been through a lot. He's been banged up this year, obviously. I don't know off the top of my head how many games he started, but it's only been like 4 or 5. So I don't blame him at all for sitting this one out. But other than that, man, like Ray Davis playing, Andrew Phillips playing, Trevin Wallace playing, all the guys who probably have the best chance to get drafted in April are suiting up because they want to crack at a name brand and be able to say they beat Clemson.
Yeah, it's interesting to me when you look across, college football, and there are some schools who are really, really good at retaining their talent for the bowl game. Ole Miss only has 1 guy that's not playing.
Iowa was I know the bowl game I was just bashing how terrible it was, but I was great at that.
Yeah, and Gasson was just telling me how he said they won't have any opt-outs. You can just it's a cultural thing, man, and I say that, but at the same time, I'm sure Georgia has a really good culture, and they got a lot of guys not playing. So
Powers have been hurt. Can't really.
And it's a case-by-case basis when it comes to the team. So I get it, but I'm excited to see what happens. I think this, and I've been telling you guys since we found out that Clemson was the team that they were playing. I was like, this is an interesting matchup. A very interesting matchup. So I think this game could go a lot of different ways. Personally, I'm anxious to see how it goes. I know from a quarterback perspective that Clemson kid has been playing. He's been playing solid. He hasn't been playing bad.
Yeah,
like I said, they struggle in the red zone, like we talked about. But from Kentucky's quarterback perspective, you just want to see the guy have a good game in his last outing. I kind of want to see that. I want to see, some fireworks from the offense. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a bowl game. This is it. Like you said, there should be no call left on the call sheet. let it all hang out and let those guys go out there and play. But like I said, they did retain a lot of guys. I think Kentucky's the better roster going into this game. So, when it comes to their starters being intact, I think, so that's a huge plus outside of the 2 offensive linemen, obviously. But, I just think, based on what Liam said, he liked the energy. I mean, guys, came back ready to go. They came back, looking pretty solid on the first day back. And that's always interesting, man. When guys go away for a couple of days during the holidays, you just never know what you're going to get. Everybody's eating cake and pie and, all types of casseroles, and you come back and you got to get back on it and start practicing. So that's always tough. But, I'm anxious to see how it goes. I think, Stoops, his track record shows that he typically does a pretty good job at getting ready for these bowl games. So, let's see how this thing unfolds.
Absolutely. So, like Liam said, Clemson is, SEC-ish defense, and we know what they've done in the past, and like what Ripter said, it's all about the 60 Minutes Friday afternoon as well. So I get both sides of it. But these guys have seen them at their absolute peak. So they didn't do that this year, but they still got, kind of a pretty good residual from what they've done recently. So it's gonna be fun. And it's a nice notch in the belt to beat a team like that for the Kentucky program.
Yeah, it's a little, I guess from an opponent perspective, I'd say it's pretty similar to that Citrus Bowl against Penn State. That Kentucky team, you really wanted them to get to that 10-win mark because it hadn't been done in 41 years. So I get there was more, it wasn't as much about the other team, but I think it would go a long way. People would be talking nationally if Kentucky beats Clemson. It might be a lot of negative Clemson stuff rather than positive Kentucky stuff because we all know that they love to jump down Dabo in that program when things aren't going right. But it would be a needle mover for recruiting for this 2025 class that now is going to be the focus, and then maybe even some more transfer portal additions that might come up in January or when that thing reopens after spring practice. And it would be a nice springboard. Look, as Kentucky's gotten past the point of where going bowling is a huge accomplishment because it's been 8 years. You want to see them take the next step, play in a New Year's Six, compete for the SEC championship. But 8 wins, if they get to that number, that would be tied for the third best year in the Stoops era. They won 10 twice, and they won 8 the year they won the Belt Bowl against Virginia Tech. So you have a chance to do something that's only been done 3 times in this Stoops era. And I haven't gone through and looked at the history, but Kentucky football 8-win seasons, there aren't that many. So look, the season still hasn't gone exactly how you wanted. You got the rivalry win at the end of the regular season. That was huge. And you have a chance to make it 2 really, really big, important wins that look pretty good on a resume to finish out a year that maybe fans are not too happy with.
Yeah, I've said it earlier. Michael Jordan had that famous quote when he was back at UNC. He said, "The ceiling is the roof," and I'm not sure what he meant by that. I don't know if whatever he slipped of the tongue, but it used to be, 20 years ago, you would pray and hope to see 7-5.
That was 5 years ago, Vinny. That was 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah. And that was a lofty ceiling. That was a house with 10-foot ceilings. Woo, man. And now you have a season where it doesn't go as planned, and the floor is 7-5.
Right.
And you're 2 plays from 9-3, or legitimately, they're still, as crazy as it sounds, they still could have won 10. The Missouri game, the Tennessee game, and South Carolina.
They
it is
they
not
at the very
crazy.
least should have won 8. At the very least.
Not crazy talk to say that,
No.
So that's the transition to where you're disappointed, but 7-5 is like, okay, you drop down to 7-5 instead of maybe one day we'll get to 7-5. It's way up there and hard to reach. So that's still quite a turnaround. even though a lot of people might not want to see it or want to get overly frustrated or whatever. It's it's a process still.
Yeah, I was just watching USC and
Louisville.
And Joel Klatt was on there saying how we get caught up in the Georgias and Alabamas and they win 10 games every year or 10 plus. And it's easy to kind of get jaded by that and say, why can't my team win 10 games? That stuff is hard to do. 10 games is a big deal. Like in college football, and I kind of dislike the 12-team playoff for this reason, because you're almost forced to be perfect, right? Yeah. To really go where you want to go when it comes to a BCS championship back in the past, and then a playoff. You almost have to be perfect, and everybody get caught up into that. Like if an NFL team loses, 7 games, or 6 games, that's a great season. That's a great season. So, when a college team lose 2 games, or 3 games, and now everybody's looking like, man, what are they doing? So I just think it's funny, but it's the reason why college football is so great, because you have to be perfect every Saturday. And it's really, it's really competitive in that way. But, again, winning 8 games, winning 9 games is extremely tough to do, at Kentucky. And for them to have done that and surpassed that, won 10 games a couple times, like I said, there's probably going to be a statue made pretty soon, because that just don't happen. It's never happened here. So, I always tell people, you could have been born a UConn football fan. You know what I'm saying? Like that could have easily happened. Like, so
Aaron from Connecticut. Why you gotta do him like that,
man? I mean, that could have easily happened for somebody, So at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who will wish to have the past 6-7 years that Kentucky has had in the conference that they're in.
I was gonna say, yeah.
we can hypothetically place Kentucky in the ACC, and maybe they have a ACC championship or 2. Or 3. So, it's just one of those things, man, to where, like I said, this is like the G League of the NFL. So it's tough to get to 9 and 10 wins, but I think they're doing a good job. Everybody wanted them to win 10 games and win more, of course, but dude, like, look at the schedule, man. At the end of the day, it's a beast.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, the expectations of this program, well, I wouldn't say, I guess expectations, but tend to do at this place is really, really tough. And I'm not trying to give Mark Stoops and his staff a cop-out. The games like South, they got to stop losing those one game a year where it's like, how do you lose to that team? Where this year it was South Carolina. Last year it was Vandy. Like, you got to, even the year before that, losing in Starkville to that Mississippi State team that wasn't very good. They got to stop having that yearly clunker. I think that would go a long way in kind of getting the fans off the back a little bit. But, I mean, if they had gone 8-4 and their losses were to Missouri, who, what are they, number 9 going into the Cotton Bowl, Georgia, Alabama going to the playoff, and then Tennessee, that one would drive you nuts. But until you beat them, I think everyone's kind of at this point accepted they kind of own you right now. I think this season would be looked at a lot differently, and there'd be a lot of hype because they cleaned up in the portal. They really did. We talked about it last week about just how impressive. It's not the largest haul in the world, but the guys they got, I think, Bo Allen will be a backup quarterback. No, I'm not trying to signal him out, but I think they got 6 guys who are going to be impact players. I think 5 of which will be impact players next season. So they, things are actually going in a pretty good direction. And if they're able to get this win and get to 8 and have all that momentum going into next year, where the schedule's tough, I don't think they have the worst schedule in the SEC. Like, I think Auburn being at home, you got to start winning at home. That's another one that's killed them the last 2 years. But, on paper, the Auburn game's not down there. That's a really tough place to play. Ask Alabama, who struggles every time, no matter how good they are. Ole Miss is a tough one. Texas is a tough one. And then obviously Georgia. But outside of that, like, I think and even Ole Miss, maybe I think they have a chance to win every game. Not to say they will, but they think they have a chance. So actually some pretty positive momentum that's building right now. And if they're able to go out and get this win on Friday, it would go a long way toward more people kind of seeing that.
And you mentioned 6 games. You talk about being perfect in college football virtually. You have to be every Saturday. You lose 6 games in the NFL. Now with the extra game, that still means you won 11. 11-6. They're like, hey, man, good season. You go to the playoffs, probably win your division. You win several divisions. I mean, you win the AFC South, you win the NFC South. And be contending in most of the others, except for Baltimore. I mean, you'd be on Baltimore's heels. So, it's just the difference. 6 losses and you're still, a Super Bowl contender in the NFL. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a massive difference. And look, the fans have every right to want more, and especially the 2 things that I think Kentucky really needs to get off their back to take the next step, or like I said, the clunkers, and they got to start winning these games at home. They haven't won enough games, SEC games at home the last 2 years, but I do think, again, if they can win on Friday with some of the things they've done so far this offseason, I think there is a lot of momentum going into this new era of college football that really starts next year with the 12-team playoff and then the expanded SEC and all these expanded conferences.
It was cool seeing Josh Allen, Luke Fortner stop by and see the team. They were just here and helping win 10 games and helping raise expectations and helping the team get to new perceptions in a lot of people's minds. And they're doing the thing with the Jaguars now, and cool to see them stop by. It was interesting to hear Eli Cox talk about what it meant when they were here, and seeing the hard work pay off and them doing it at the next level and having success.
No doubt. Josh Allen, man, he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but he's got to be in that top 10. He's having an amazing year and a contract year, and he's about to be a even richer man than he already is. And then Luke Fortner was a day 1 starter, obviously, and is going into his 3rd year? Is he in his 3rd year right now? 2nd year as a starter?
So I want to say 3rd.
2022 draft. Okay, so 2nd year starter. So obviously they got to the divisional round last year. I know they're struggling a little bit right now. We'll see if they can get into the playoffs here. But I think that's always really cool. And it's important. I think it's big for especially the young players on the team that maybe are considering transferring still, because they're, as you see now, the portal's starting to heat back up because the bowl games are ending and guys are seeing they're not getting much time or whatever. And I think that's important to kind of have a vision. And those 2 guys present that.
Absolutely.
It's always good to see that. Like you said, the portal is one thing, but just, a lot of those guys just, they need inspiration. And when you see it, it helps to be around it. Because, you push some guys to work harder and that's why you get teams like, and I noticed, maybe because I just watch them more than most schools outside of Kentucky, but Alabama, I noticed that they always have a ton of guys back on the sideline during games.
Yeah.
More than anybody I've ever seen, every Saturday. So that's a big deal for 19-year-old freshman or sophomore to be able to see that. If they can touch it, they can see it, it's close to them. They can kind of see it. They see it and can see the vision and see where it can go. So that's always important. I think that's the most important thing about it, because you push guys to kind of, work harder. You push guys to want more. So that's always a big deal. So especially those 2, man. They have had great careers at Kentucky. Josh Allen probably the best ever at that position. When in his time in Lexington. So
yeah, he is.
Like I said, for a young player playing his position to be able to see that and see what he's doing on Sunday. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want to keep around the program.
Josh Allen and Art Steele is going to be the main two forever as far as Kentucky defensive players.
Yeah,
the
I think
old
those
head.
two guys are probably top 5, maybe 10 in program. It's tough to rank players because everyone plays different positions, but you're talking about 2 of the top 10 to 5 best players in the program's ever had.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. So, and to see, Josh come through and do what he did, in that magical season,
17 sacks.
Yeah, and I never seen him. None of us had ever seen him win 9 in a regular season in our lifetime. Because 1977, 10-1 team. That's all Derek Ramsey's coming in and speaking to the team, the quarterback from that squad. So for them to do that, and put it all together, I was rewatching. It had the SEC in the history of the South. It was the 8-part series, 10-part series of football in the South and the SEC. Part 8 was replaying on ESPNU. And, it just goes through, I think they break it down by decade or something like that. But it was the 2018 is what they were focusing on with, the turnaround and, Josh Allen, all that was on last night. And, Kentucky made great strides under Mark Stoops and the documentary perspective. And it was just cool to see that again. I watched it when it first came out. And, cool to see that again. And, they continue to try to sustain that and build on, what's been happening these past few years for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Oh, what else stands out to y'all between now and Friday at noon?
Yeah, I would say this is a big game for, for Devin Leary, obviously, last college game and, chance to maybe do something with his draft stock, maybe sneak into the third day rather. But it's a huge game, I think, for Dane Key and Barryon Brown specifically, man. Clemson is down. I think they're at 5 and 6 on their cornerback depth chart. 2 true freshmen starting outside. Their top cover corner, Nate Wiggins, opted out. He's going to the draft. He's going to be a day 1 pick. They have there's one of their I don't know if he was a nickel guy or like their third corner. He transferred. He's going to Missouri. He's not going to be in the game. Then their number 1 safety transferred. He's going to Texas. He's not playing. So they're decimated in the secondary. Dabo Swinney was talking a few weeks ago about how he's drafting guys to play corner. And I went through and looked at the guys he was talking about: wide receiver, tight end, running back, and some of them are walk-ons. So they're really, really short in that secondary. This needs to be a game where, I think Dane Key played a lot better in the second half of the season. I think Barryon Brown, there were spurts where he was the guy that, everyone was dreaming of after his freshman year, but overall he definitely didn't have the year I don't think anyone wanted to see. It was a little bit of a sophomore slump, if you will. But this is an opportunity against what's going to be a really, really decimated cornerback room and secondary to go and kind of finish on a strong note and build momentum going into your junior year. And obviously that could be your last college year if things go right and scouts are impressed. So that's what I'm looking for on Friday. And, I heard today that from some people that were down there that Barryon had a really good practice, but, these practices are they're very walkthrough-ish. There's not that much live or anything going on crazy. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's the main thing I'm looking for Friday, man. Those receivers, they were put on watch a little bit, right? New wide receivers coach coming in, probably because that room underperformed a little bit this year. Guys being added to that room: Jamori Macklin, Raymond Cottrell. They may not even be done adding, I don't think. So this is a big opportunity for Dane Key and Barryon Brown to put a bow on their sophomore year and do it in a positive way.
Yeah, you and me both, man. I got to see some work at receiver.
Yeah.
When the team talking about drafting guys to play corner, you're probably going to get a watered down scheme. You're going to get watered down talent, most likely.
He even admitted they would have a watered down scheme, by the way.
Say what?
He admitted they're going to have a watered down scheme. He's like, it's either cover 1, 2, or 3. You figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you have to with those situations. They are in dire need of some people who can flip some hips at Clemson right now. And you just, I mean, if I'm Liam Cohen, if I'm, you got to convince your boss, man, to like, hey, let's start the game going after these dudes. Why not? You got better players than they do at that position. Why, I'm not saying don't run the ball. I'm saying you throw the ball to run the ball against this type of team. In my opinion, some people may say that's stupid, but if he's saying that in public and I see that the transfer portal and those opt-outs, you got to go right at him and let them know from the jump. This is what we're doing. Your receiver's going to like it. It kind of galvanizes your whole team when you're super aggressive. You're attacking guys like that, and it's really intentional who you're trying to attack and the fact that you're attacking. Players love that. So I think it's a good situation. I'm sure the quarterback was really happy to hear that, and really, I'm sure he's excited because I'm sure that Liam Cohen is going to take advantage of that or try to scheme up to take advantage of that, and that helps the quarterback. He get a chance to really air it out, so why not? Last game of the year, you got better players at that position. Let's go.
Senior Bowl gets Ray Davis in addition to Andrew Phillips, so they'll be heading down to not Montgomery, but heading down to Mobile way to participate in that game. So,
yep.
They just tweeted that out a few minutes ago with Red Davis accepting the invite. See some blue in that as well as far as participation goes.
Yeah, and that's obviously the most prestigious of them all. So that's great for Ray and obviously Andrew already. And I know this is the first year where those bowl games are going to be taking juniors. So it's going to be an even more of a crowded field and a chance to prove yourself even more. So awesome for Ray. And again, even more awesome that he's playing this game, man. He obviously has proved everything he needs to prove. And I don't think anyone would have been that upset at him if he opted to not play. But, he originally opted to not play, changed his mind, and he's going to be out there, with his team. And that's just – he already knew how good of a dude Ray Davis was, how, much adversity he's had to overcome. But that just continues to solidify his standing here, and he's going to be remembered in a very positive light around Lexington. That's for darn sure.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yeah. Just the walking 1,000-yard season wherever he shows up. Came here and embraced it. Excited to be here. Y'all did the feature on him in the Cat's Paws. He went out there and walked the walk, talked the talk, and got the yards, and did his thing all season long. And said, coming back for the bowl game, going back to Senior Bowl. So congratulations to Ray as well. Before we hit the NFL, too, we talked about before, Cats got the Cards again, but this is one of the most anticlimactic Kentucky Louisville games, and that's because it's Louisville's fault. They are where they are, and that they're in the position they're in and trying to figure out how to dig their way out of the huge trench that they're in. But they give to their credit, they came out and tried to throw some haymakers, got up 5-0, and was trading baskets for a minute. It's 12, it's 14-14, whatever. But in the blink of an eye, Kentucky hit them with a run, and it's a 20-point game at halftime. Just that quick.
Yeah, as soon as Kentucky went on that run, Louisville kind of laid over. It was that game was over, and I think Louisville ended up outscoring them, Kentucky, in the second half. So you got to give credit to that team for them to continue fighting. They didn't ever give up completely, but they definitely they definitely lost confidence in any hope of pulling off an upset when Kentucky did go on that run. But it was, you're right. It was a anticlimactic, depressing from a standpoint of it was obviously very unique seeing Kentucky fans kind of take over that place. And I would say that, from being there, the lower bowl was pretty 50-50, but the upper bowl, it was Lexington up there. It was crazy. So that part of it was, unique and cool, but it is still like you want to see that place. You want to see there be a home court advantage in that game. You want to see fans really into it and believing the whole game on pins and needles. And there wasn't much drama. There wasn't much tension. There was, kind of just felt like another road game for Kentucky. It didn't feel like it was a big rivalry game or anything like that. So, but for Kentucky's perspective, take care of business. Antonio Reeves was fantastic. Obviously, 22 points in the first half. I think 4 for 3 in that first half. Finishes with 30. And Reed Shepherd had like the quietest double-double. I didn't even realize he had a double-double till after I left the arena. That's how quiet it was. 11 and 11 for him. That's solid he is. And then Trey Mitchell had a double-double as well. So Kentucky did what they had to do. They'll obviously get one more little warm-up game here on Friday, and then their season really, really gets going next weekend down in Gainesville.
And in most years, in normal years of the rivalry, this game last Thursday at Louisville would have been their first true road game.
That's right.
It was so blue. Their first true road game won't be until they go to Gainesville to start SEC play against Florida. So
and that game's already announced as a sellout. No surprise. They're trying to orange it out, and that's a great atmosphere. I was down there last year, and I know Florida wasn't very good last year, but they came back in that game and I think either took the lead or tied it late in the second half, and their fans were rowdy and getting into it. So now that they have a pretty good team this year, they're definitely a fringe tournament team, maybe even on the right side of the bubble right now. That place is going to be rocking, and they haven't beat Kentucky in a long time. They're going to be really motivated to get it done. So that will be a tough one, and that'll be their first true road game. It's unfortunate what's going on at Louisville. Like I honestly, we've talked about it ad nauseum. I won't go too far into it, but it is better when they're good for college basketball and definitely for the state. So we'll see. We'll see what happens as Louisville football just got. I think that's going to be a 99-yard pick six unless they catch him. So at least, they caught him at the 40, but USC was about to go up by 3 scores, and that could be a big play for Louisville there. So at least their football program's doing something good right now.
Yeah, and for the state, just the economy downtown, the bars, the hotels. You expect 18,000, 20,000 people for 20 home games, and that ain't happening. And now your business is struggling because your bottom line is
I was reading about that.
Your bottom line is it ain't. You expect this revenue, and it ain't happening because people ain't going because they don't want to see this product on the court, and it's it affects. It's a ripple effect, man. It's crazy.
It sure is. No, it's affecting a lot of quality people, and that sucks. It really does. And I know they're rolling with KP into the new year. I don't really know how much of it. I think the only thing firing him now would do is kind of send a message to the fans, like, "Hey, it's unacceptable. We're not having it." But other than that, like, this team ain't turning it around. I think they're more talented than they were last year, but they're not turning it around dramatically. I don't think so. If you want to hold off to the end of the year, save some money, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Kenny is such a good dude. He was interacting with a lot of the Kentucky media before the game, just being the good dude that he is. So, I hate it for him as a person, but results are results at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know y'all was talking about that Russell Wilson thing before we started recording. So saw where he is now benched for the last 2 games of the season after they lost to New England at home, if I'm not mistaken, which basically, burning up their chances of making to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll let Jalen do the go in on it. I'll just say it seems from the report there from Jordan Schultz about what's going on with this injury clause or whatever, that this has been something that's kind of been brewing, and then the Broncos got on a roll and you couldn't really justify it. And, now here it is again. And it's very similar to what happened to Derek Carr last year. And it happens to be the same guy, Jared Stidham, who's in the middle of it coming in to play quarterback, the Kentucky native Jared Stidham. So probably a crappy thing, not crappy that he gets to play, but he's probably in a tough spot, relationship wise. And I'll let Jalen take it from here.
Side note, another quarterback who started at NC State and transferred in college. So Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, but I think the dude is like, he's like the ultimate pro when it comes to just handling adversity and things like that. He's you can tell that he tried to stay positive and almost to a fault. Because I watched the Detroit game a couple weeks ago, and I've never seen a pro quarterback get kind of just dug into like that from his head coach on the sideline. I don't know. Did y'all see that? I mean, I've never seen that happen, especially a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So,
yeah,
that was really I mean, they've been making it known that they didn't want Russell Wilson to be the quarterback for a while now. Sean Payton going out into the media multiple times this year and saying things that you just don't say about your quarterback. I don't care if it was Little League. You just don't say it in public. So, that was an issue, let alone the stuff that we don't know that goes on every day in the building. But the stuff that we do see, or the things that we see, in the media, it's just bad, man. It's just, and what Sean Payton came out today and said was just, come on, man. Like, you have to have more respect for a guy than that. That's the issue for me. You got to have more respect for somebody than you do for that guy. There's no way you do that. There's no way you come out and say the things that you said to the media about the situation. You got to just don't say anything or whatever. But, if I'm a player in that locker room, you've lost me, man. I don't know how I can trust a guy who has been shown to be untrustworthy over and over and over this year. Let alone the stuff that you're saying about the quarterback in public, but the stuff that you have done now, it's in the books. It's signed, sealed, delivered. You're an untrustworthy guy. So that, they have, receipts, as they would say, to say that, this guy, we don't want this guy to be our head coach. I'm sure some of those guys feel that way, but, we all know how it goes. A check is being written out, and they don't really, speak their mind like they probably want to, because they know the repercussions behind it. So, that's an issue, but I just think it's just bad. It's just bad business, man. It's just dirty work. You don't want to see anybody, let alone a guy a Super Bowl champ who's playing well at the time. He's been playing well. I even watched the Detroit game where they kind of got beat bad, and they kept talking about Russ and Russ in the media. And I'm like, well, every time Detroit had the ball off, the running back's not getting touched to these 8 yards downfield. So we could talk about the offense all we want to. Maybe you should look at Sean Payton and say, hey, let's toughen up the defense. Rather than yelling at your quarterback on the sideline, and not. I'm cool with coaching and being coached hard, but the way he did it, man, it was just tasteless. On the sideline. So I lost a lot of respect. I'm a big fan of coaching. I'm a big fan of a lot of coaches. I learned from a lot of coaches, and I learned a great deal from Sean Payton. Schematically, I haven't been around, but just his scheme. But today, I lost some respect for a guy, just in the media. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but
sure.
I just could never sleep with myself knowing that I've done a guy like that in the media. I can't even look myself in the mirror knowing that. So, it's a shame because you don't want to see that. But, as we always say, at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. It's a business. It's perception. They don't, they obviously want a different face. So, kind of is what it is. It just sucks that it happened to a guy that has accomplished what he's accomplished. If this was Desmond Ritter, then nobody would really give a damn. But, to be honest with you,
you're not wrong.
We talking about a guy who should have 2 Super Bowls.
2, yeah.
He's a terrible, weird call away from having 2. So, it's just the whole situation is just weird to me.
3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 98 passer rating, which ranks 7th among qualified quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's ahead of some of you, you people's favorite quarterbacks right now in a lot of categories. And this is happening. So, it's just, like I said, I just don't like it. And I'm not an NFL watcher. Y'all know I don't watch a lot of NFL ball. I don't even know who's leading in divisions. I don't know anything. I don't know who's, I don't watch it. Unless it's just happened to be on TV on Christmas or Thanksgiving. I don't really watch it. But, it just caught my eye, scrolling on social media and just saying, because everybody's talking about it. You got Russell Wilson talking about it. Not Russell Wilson, but RG3. Robert Griffin III, he's, making everybody's doing their podcast. Everybody has a podcast nowadays.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it. It just, I had to really look into it because I usually don't care. So I looked into it and start reading on it. And I'm like, man, that's pretty bad. I haven't seen that done to a quarterback of his caliber in my lifetime. So, just not good.
Yeah, and then there was the comment about, I can't replace 5 offensive linemen, all my receivers, just clearly blaming their issues on one guy. And yeah, I mean, I can't say I've watched the Broncos too much this year. I watched them a lot last year because it felt like they were on prime time every week early in the season last year. And obviously Russ was playing some of the worst football in his career. But from what I saw this year, which would have been their win in Buffalo, which Buffalo's obviously a really good team going to the playoffs again. I just watched him against New England. He didn't have a great start. He led them on a comeback to almost, get that game back. A game obviously they should have won, but still, almost led them back. Like he looked like an improved quarterback. And I saw, I'm going to pull this up right quick to put a bow kind of on this, where he went in and liked the tweet. Is it still liked? He might have unliked. Oh, no, it's still here. Russell Wilson getting benched. His numbers this year: passing touchdowns 26 on 8 interceptions, 6.9 yards per attempt, 3 rushing touchdowns. And then Patrick Mahomes, same amount of touchdowns, 26, interceptions 14. That's a lot more. Average yards per attempt 6.9, the same sense. Rushing touchdowns 0. So look, he's having a better year than the best quarterback in the NFL. I know, the Chiefs are bad, or offensively not as good as they usually are this year. Patrick Mahomes, I still think, is the best quarterback on the planet right now. And statistically, he's having a better year than him. So, this is it's a pretty messed up situation going on.
Jarrett Stidham has 2 starts in 5 years. Lost both of them. Threw for 656 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 89.2 passer rating. And according to Sean Payton, we need a spark. We need something right now. This is the spark you need. We'll handle the long term when we get there. So clearly he's not the long term, but he's supposedly a spark with replacing a guy who's top 10 in passer rating and all that kind of stuff. That'll make it make sense.
I hate it for him because he shouldn't have, for Jarrett Stidham too. Because again, he went through the same thing last year. This happened with Derek Carr and the Raiders, and Josh McDaniels did the same thing. Well, we need Jarrett Stidham for a spark. This poor guy, he's just a backup quarterback. He's probably excited to play, but it's under these crappy circumstances, and just a mess, man. It would be. I still don't think Russell's having a year that justifies a benching by any means, but it would be one thing if Denver was one. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're not even officially eliminated yet. If they would have went out and things broke right, they'd be in the playoffs still. Yeah. So you have that factor. So there'd be one thing where they were eliminated if he was battling maybe through an injury, and also if you had a rookie or something, if you had drafted in the 4th round, you wanted to see what you got. I wouldn't kill them for that. I remember when the Giants back in 2017 when they were 2-9 and Ben McAdoo benched Eli Manning, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay. Well, you have Davis Webb, who you drafted in the 3rd round. You're benching him for him, right?" No, they benched him for Geno Smith, who at the time was a proven bad quarterback. He's obviously since gotten his career on track, and he's a quality starter. But at that time, everyone kind of knew, and he knew what Geno Smith was. And not surprisingly, the Giants lost that football game, and they ended up firing McAdoo the next day and going back to Eli the rest of the year. But you would have been able to justify it if you started the rookie. This one, sit him again. Feel bad for him, but proven guy. He's a backup quarterback at best in the NFL. Like, we know who he is at this point.
Yeah.
It's just wrong all the way around. And like you said, Jalen, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some guys in that Broncos locker room that Sean Payton's lost, if not all of them.
Yeah, and kind of wrap it up. I just kind of look at it from different perspectives, and like you said, you kind of feel sorry for Stidham because he's been thrown into a situation like this again, where you got to look at the guy that you just replaced every day, and at the end of the day that you don't deserve the position. Like,
correct,
you don't deserve to be the starter, and that's tough in itself. And then you feel sorry for Stidham from the standpoint of his receivers aren't really gonna be, I mean, how it is, man. You know how it is. Like they like what? No, man, I'm not. Russ is our guy. Russ is the guy. So it's just it's just bad all the way around. Like I said, it's just bad business, man. It really is. It's I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how they function. The last two games or whatever it is. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose both. So like I said, it is what it is. But it's just it's a debacle to say the least.
Stidham is he's like, man, I don't wish injury on anybody, but can I become the starter in a traditional fashion with the starter getting hurt?
Yeah.
I don't want him to get hurt, but can I be the number one due to injury instead of drama and being a spark when I'm not?
And everybody go, he get in the game, he throw a pick or he make a bad decision. And you're like, see, look, it's a bad position to be in front of the world.
Like, do they have any other quarterback on the roster that can, like, you could justify it? I'm going to look right now if they have like a rookie or second year guy.
They got to have somebody else.
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I don't know the roster. Well, no, I'm going to pull it up right now. Roster. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it sucks for Sid. It sucks for everyone involved that's not Sean Payton. He kind of deserves what's coming to him on this one. But for everyone else, man, it's they actually – oh, no, that's injured reserve. They have on practice squad, they only have two quarterbacks in the entire organization right now. There it is. Ben DiNucci. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You would know.
Our
that.
old guy. Old cowboy.
Yeah. Ben DiNucci is their practice squad quarterback.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well. Yeah. It was good to hit on that. Sean Payton, I don't know what you're doing, man. That's weird.
It is weird.
Weird. Just the whole Russell in Denver was weird. The whole Hackett the first year, and everybody's mad because he got his own office and his own whatever, and now you go from that to this. It's just
just a bad marriage.
Yeah. So
everyone's gonna obviously now kill Denver for that trade, and rightfully so. It's just gonna go down in history as one of those big failures, and you kind of feel bad. I do think Russ did a lot to kind of get his legacy back this year. Obviously after last year, there was a lot of what, like you said, Vinny, with that separate office thing, and then just not playing well at all. There was a lot of Russell Wilson hate out there, and he played pretty damn well. I mean, this team started 1-5 and then won 5 or 6 in a row, beat some pretty darn good football teams. They beat Cleveland, who has a great defense. They beat Buffalo in Buffalo, one of the hardest places to play in the NFL. It's tough, but Denver, man, look at this. The 2024 dead cap, if they cut him, because they're going to cut him. $35.4 million, $49.6 million. It's crazy, man.
He probably can't wait for March now. So he can get fresh start and just say.
Yeah, and some teams will call. I wouldn't be like Atlanta, maybe. They're obviously just mentioned Desmond Ridder. They're a mess, and they're probably not going to be in position to draft one of those top guys. He'll get a shot somewhere.
Yeah, he will. He will.
Absolutely. Fellas, another good episode. Got the double dip Friday, bowl game, basketball games. That'll be a fun weekend for sports. AG, have fun in Jacksonville.
Appreciate it.
Forward to recapping everything next week. And
Yeah.
appreciate you hopping on, Jay. Enjoy the family tomorrow, man.
No problem, no doubt.
All the fun y'all gonna have visiting and catching up and everything. So appreciate y'all hopping on Facebook and watching Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever y'all checked it out at, Threads, all that good stuff. Follow, subscribe, retweet, tell your friends. Jump in here in the comments next time. We'd love to have you. And for Jalen and Aaron, my name is Vinny Hardy. Looking forward to another fun episode next week of Believe in Kentucky, Believe Podcast Network. We'll holler at y'all then.